I won't take you back to the beginning. I don't have the time. However, I will begin with some background, some insight into how things used to be, during what I and others around me considered my artistic apex. I essentially found myself in the centre of things, a fundamental component, not like and or. I was different. I had spark, edge. I frequented dinner parties in Chelsea, rooftop bars in Manhattan. I spent time backstage at fashion shows in Tokyo. You'd find me nestled snugly between sharp punchlines and popping up in fierce intellectual debate. I had it all. I'd previously been relatively content in the background, just pottering about for a few hundred years. I'd watch from afar as every now and then colleagues would experience a surge in popularity and burst into the limelight. I never dreamt it would happen to me. My downfall was swift. Appearances at the exclusive parties declined. Younger colleagues took my place. Meanwhile, my occurrences in the comments sections of BuzzFeed listicles skyrocketed. I fucking monopolized the place. The whole thing actually started to become embarrassing. I stopped seeing my friends. I began to spiral. I'd seen it happen to others. It didn't end well for them. So I knew I needed help. I decided to go and see my wise old friend, Gay, for advice. He's been through a lot. And it's not often you get an audience with Gay. He's usually busy pinging around primary school playgrounds, on the trading floor of the London Stock Exchange, or doing the rounds at Pride. We all change and evolve, mused Gay. We're not able to define ourselves. That is for them. They who exist, who we exist to serve. Yeah, I know, Gay, I know. I said, not finding his advice comforting. I'm fully aware that we all evolve. It's one of the key tenets in the handbook, after all. You know, alongside the guarantee that the middle class will inevitably adopt the vernacular of the working class, approximately 6 to 8 years after it's fallen out of fashion, I said. And below the handbook's curious axiom that every single white girl from the home counties will know all the words to the notorious B.I.G.'s Juicy. Right, Gay, I continued. And then there's the handbook's assurance that... So, Gay, I eventually continued several hours later, I'm fully aware that we all evolve. It's just... I don't feel like I'm evolving. Rather, I feel like I'm being thrown around pointlessly. I'm being used to fill gaps when there aren't any gaps. I'm becoming an increasingly hollow form of emphasis for the dim-witted and superficial who find themselves bereft of vocabulary as a result of their lack of intellectual curiosity. I guess... I persisted, the words rapidly shooting from my mouth. I guess I'm losing my definition, my purpose. My confession to Gay left me breathless. I finally expressed everything I'd been feeling for the last few years. It was cathartic. And I also thought I'd made some good points about the nature of evolution and change to rebut Gay's earlier observation, but then Gay went and got his old friends Queer and Sick involved, and I ended up losing the argument. Last week, my friend Amazeballs took her own life. An unprecedented tragedy. And it's actually what prompted me to write this piece. Amazeballs was young. So young. And she hadn't yet had the chance to establish the necessary resilience that comes with life experience. Amazeballs was never happy. Yes, she put on an excitable, carefree, and oftentimes painfully edgy performance, but there was an underlying ennui to it all, which morphed into an enduring depression after Amazeballs found herself plastered across a sequin tie-dye jumper in Primark, stitched in crass sans serif. The final straw for poor Amazeballs came a few weeks later. A 50-something sales manager in a tailored suit was addressing a new crop of unpaid graduate interns. After remarking positively on the diversity in the room, 6 different Oxbridge colleges were represented between the 8 interns. The balding sales manager referred to the potential for progression, salary and bonuses at the organisation as literally Amazeballs. I was there when it happened. We often worked together. My friend and colleague's passing put things in perspective for me. It made me realise that I needed to look after myself, to be kinder to myself, and to tell others when I'm not feeling okay. The thing is, I don't have the best support structure in place. My old friends are gone, and I'm surrounded by a different group now. You'll likely know them as the social media crowd. To put it simply, you won't find these guys anywhere in an Arthur Miller masterpiece, or in the Paris Review, or the New Yorker. I mean, they're okay. I suppose Vibes is nice enough. And OMG does have some interesting stories to tell. Though Serenity gets on my nerves sometimes. Not as much as Humble, mind you. And don't get me started on I'm So Broke. While Sourdough is so up her own arse, you would not believe it. And as for wellness, well, wellness just won't shut the fuck up. It's all a bit exhausting, really. Right now, I'm in an okay place. I'm actually seeing a brand consultant, and he's doing great things for me. With his help, I've realised that I need to tell my own brand story. Like, what does literally mean to me? So I guess I'm trying to define myself, rather than have others define me. It's about time. It's a long road ahead, but I feel like I've taken the first step in a lengthy healing process. I feel optimistic. Still, my roommate Literary never has to deal with any of this shit.
Thank you, Nicholas. Our second story is a rearguard action by Colin Adams, read by Peter Doolin. Colin is 36 and